Haha. Hey fishing friends, JC here with Rad Reeling Fishing. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you about different kayak accessories that I've accumulated over the past couple of years, give you pros and cons, review some of these things. Some of them are luxuries, other things are necessities. I'm going to be talking about kayak fishing at night, kayak fishing during the day, some of the different things that I use for filming. Yeah, this is going to be a very detailed video, so grab you some popcorn or some coffee depending on what time of day it is. Kick back and just relax and enjoy this quality content that I'm about to deliver to you guys. So, all right, let's get to it right after this. All right, guys, hopefully I can do this in one take. I'm going to start off with my Maractive floating knife. It's got a cork handle. This thing is really, really handy. It's got a stainless steel blade on it. I love my Maractive floating knife. If you drop that thing over in or out of the case, it works awesome. This right here, you guys, is a multi-tool. I got this guy from Walmart. And yeah, very cheap. By the way, I'm going to put links to all of these different things that I can in the description area. But a multi-tool is absolutely essential for kayak fishing. You never know when you're going to have some kind of breakdown or upset where you have to have a few tools where you can repair things, right? For night fishing, you guys, I've got, this is a portable clamp-on light. Now, you don't have to have, in Florida, you don't have to have a red and green light for the front if you don't have an electric motor, but you do have to have a light in the back. So this clamp-on light, it works. I can twist this thing around either way and clamp it on anything. I love this little portable light here. And then for the back, you guys, I've got this, who makes this? Yak Attack. This is my Yak Attack pole. I like using this when I'm out in the inlet fishing. And on top, it's got the light. You just twist this guy, and the light comes on. It operates off of AA batteries, and it looks like I might have to replace the AA batteries here. But this is a absolute must, you guys, so you don't get hit by boats when you're in busy areas, and you got to have that light when you're fishing at night, right? So for night filming, I use these SUPTIG, S-U-P-T-I-G GoPro lights. These are waterproof, and the ones that I have, they actually work off the GoPro Hero 4 batteries. I have a lot of those, and I use a couple of these for when I'm night fishing. They have 3 different settings on them, and these right here are awesome for filming and just for fishing in general because they are waterproof and they last a long time. I use them when I'm out there shrimping on the flats and stuff as well. I've got my Rapala fish grips here, and you know, you need to have some type of carabiner clips because you're going to be rigging up all different types of leashes and different things. I've got another one around here. I keep this one in my bag. It's just paracord, and it has a couple of carabiner clips on it. I use this when I want to tie the kayak off to a dock or the mangroves or whatever. So I always keep this in my fishing bag when I'm out there. I'm just getting some of these small accessories out of the way here. This, you guys, is my cooling towel. Here in Florida, yeah, in the heat of the summer, you guys, 100 degrees, right? You take this thing and you wet it, put it in your cooler with your ice, cool it down, and then you unravel that thing, put it around your neck, and it'll cool you off. Somebody said I should actually get another one of these, have a couple of them, so that I always have one cool in the cooler. They don't last a long time in the heat, but I tell you what, they sure will cool you off. It actually feels like air conditioning when you get it on your neck. For just a little while, it'll cool you down. So let's see, what other small things do we have around here? All right. Obviously, you got some fish getter offers. I love having these right here, you guys. These are for if that hook gets way down in that fish's mouth, and you can see there's got the little thing on the end. You just pull those and you can get down there and get that hook out. Now I've got a bunch of big accessories here, you guys. So all those things that I just showed you, I don't have any complaints. They all work great. They're wonderful. Somebody gave me this Fray Bill net. A subscriber sent this to me, and if you guys have been watching the videos, this net seems to have an issue. And one thing is that it's made out of cloth, okay? So eventually I'm going to get a rubberized net, but you're going to have some type of net, right? I like this one. It's portable, it folds in, and sometimes it has some issues where it collapses, but hey, you never look a gift horse in the mouth. I greatly appreciate the subscriber that sent that to me, and I do use that net whenever I remember to put it in my kayak, right? Okay, the next thing, you guys, and I haven't even gotten to use this yet, but this is the Versabrella. So this guy right here, it's got a clamp on it, and it's an umbrella, right? It's an umbrella. It has an adjustment here, and it also has an adjustment up inside so that when you open the umbrella, you can tilt this thing and attach it to a lot of different things. And the person that sent it to me said he absolutely loves his Versabrella. So yeah, I can't give you a review on that, but that's going to be a great accessory for fishing in the summer heat. And also, sometimes I'm out there and I know it's going to rain. I've been caught out in the rain several times with my rain ponchos on and everything like that. So speaking of rain ponchos, now this is really important, you guys. I have two different styles, okay? I have frog togs, right? I picked mine up at Walmart. This is my actual rain suit. So when it's cold in the winter time, I'll dress up with my clothes, you know, and I'll just put the frog tog rain suit over me so that I don't get my clothes wet. And here I have a frog tog poncho. Now, I haven't actually used the poncho yet, but what my buddy was telling me about the poncho, okay? Always, it's the worst about kayak fishing, right? Where am I going to go do my business, right? You got to be able to pee and poo somewhere when you're out there, right? Inevitably, you get out there, especially in a pedal kayak, you pedal for a couple hours and your bows start telling you it's time to go. Well, if you have a poncho type rain cover, right, you can actually put that poncho on, pull down whatever clothing you need to pull down, and take care of your business. Now look, you can't always kayak fish in areas that are not in public places, right? I mean, I'm fishing in the inlets all the time. Sometimes I'm fishing these canals that are in subdivisions. And I'm telling you what, when you gotta go, it's an interesting thing, like when you're in a residential area, what you're gonna do when you gotta do a number two. So poncho, get you a poncho so you can cover yourself up and do your business however it is that you need to do your business, right? Okay, the next small item, you guys, but this is a really big deal for a lot of kayak fishermen, and I don't use this very often. Usually I use the depth finder Humminbird. This one does not have the side scan on it. It's just a bottom recorder, okay? I love my Humminbird fish finder bottom recorder. It works great. Like I said, I'm going to put links in the description area to as many of these things that I can, so you guys can head over to Amazon and get you some. I'll get a small commission, about 2%. It really helps the channel out a lot, you guys. But yeah, eventually I'd like to have a side scan Humminbird, because I do a lot of fishing under docks and around mangroves. It'd be nice to be able to like side scan and see what kind of fish are off to the side of the kayak, right? But yeah, depth finder for me, it really, the main thing for a depth finder is just reading the bottom when I'm looking for like those black drum, or I'm around the bridges and I found that little area where I was catching mangrove snapper, found some drop off ledges. But also the other thing that's really good about this, it's going to give you a warning signal if you get into really super shallow water. You won't hit your electric motor or your pedal drive. And then also water temperature is really important, right? Like right now the water temperature is around 70 degrees. Pompano fishing is starting to go off because it's 70 degrees. So yeah, a fish finder, it's a luxury. It's not a must-have, but then you're going to have a fish finder battery, right? I paid like $25 on Amazon for this one. It's a 9 amp hour battery, universal battery. It works fine. And I have a lot of different videos on setting up batteries and just setting up different things in the kayak. I don't have a lot of videos. I have a few different videos that show you that kind of stuff. So you guys, my next thing that I absolutely love, and I give this like a 10 out of 10 review, and that is my Carlisle, oh baby, my Carlisle Magic Angler paddle. You guys, the cool thing about this paddle is it's got the scale on it. It's got the metric scale and it's got the standard scale, so you can measure your fish. So I don't ever worry about not having a tape measuring device with me now. I don't use any type of bump board. I haven't bought one just because, number one, I have the Magic Angler paddle, but I just think those bump boards is just another accessory that I have to haul around with me in the kayak. One of these days I'll get one of the ones that fold up. You know, the bump, if you're not familiar with what a bump board is, it's something you just bump the fish up against and it's got the scale so that you can measure it, right? But sometimes I'm catching really big fish, so I have to have a big bump board to do that. All right, let's go with the live preservers. Subscriber Jeff sent me this Onyx. Now this is the inflatable life preserver. These things are pretty expensive, but they are great to have when you're fishing during the summertime. I actually wear them during the wintertime too, but they're great during the summertime because they're lightweight and they help you to stay cool, right? So yeah, but the first life preserver or personal flotation device, PFD, was my Old Town PFD, and this one does have a name on it. This is the Angler PFD. This is the fancy one. This has got all the padding in it and stuff. It's got a lot of different pockets, and during the winter time when it's cold, I like to wear this one, okay? And you know, if you're ever concerned about your kayak flipping, I'm not concerned about my Old Town Sportsman Autopilot 120 tipping over, okay? That thing is so stable, I never worry about that tipping over. So I'm always wearing my inflatable pretty much unless it's really cold. But if you're in a kayak where you're concerned about that thing tipping over and you're going to be in deep water or heavy current, really dangerous situations, definitely consider getting one of the padded ones along with the inflatable one, okay? So I always wear a life preserver. I was out fishing with my buddy the other day. I'm like, dude, where's your life preserver? And he said, it's only like 12 inches deep where we're fishing. But the thing is there was a channel in between where we were fishing. You know, if you're standing up in the channel, anything can happen. You can trip, fall out of the kayak or whatever. So I'm always wearing my life preserver. Okay, I'm just working through all the small stuff here, you guys, and I am talking really fast because I want to get through it. Bait buckets, right? You're gonna have to consider what type of bait bucket you want. I use 4 different styles of containers to carry my bait, right? A lot of times I'm using this one. I just pull alongside of my kayak. With the pedal drive kayaks and especially with the electric motor kayak, I'm able to do that. With the pedal drive, I find that I have to lift the bait bucket up out of the water, put it in the kayak whenever I'm pedaling. It just makes maneuvering the kayak better, right? But I use this for shrimp and small pinfish when I don't have a lot of bait, or I use it for when I'm fishing with greenbacks, right? Now recently, the Take and Line company contacted me and said, hey, we'd like to give you one of our bait buckets to try out. I did a full review on the Take and Line bait bucket. That bait bucket has all different types of accessories on it, and one of the things that I like about that is I could load that up with live bait, and it has rod holders. It's got 3 rod holders, and it fits great in the back of the Autopilot 120 that I have. So the Take and Line bait bucket. I also have a cooler that I keep bait in. I really love my cooler setup, and the reason is because that cooler during the summertime will help keep that water cold, right? You got to keep your bait cool during the summertime. So I really like that. And then of course I use a 5-gallon bucket. Different aeration setup systems for different things, but yeah, you know, I've got 3 or 4 different types of bait buckets. So you're gonna have some type of bait bucket that you're using. Your next thing, I don't use this very often, but I do use it, right? And that is a dry bag. This is a Marchway dry bag. Right now I have my propane cooking stove and my pan and all. This is where right now I'm just keeping all of my catch and cook stuff. When I want to grab it and go out there and cook something on my little grill, I put it in this inside of this dry bag. So you got to have a dry bag. You can try and be as careful as you want to be out there kayak fishing, but you're going to get wet every time you go. It just amazes me how wet that I get. If you got to pick up the paddle and paddle, you're going to get wet. If you catch a fish, you're going to get wet. If you hit a wave, you're constantly getting wet out there. There's a lot to this video. I used a super spreader cast net, 5-foot 1/4-inch mesh, so a 4, 5, or 6-foot net is going to be easy to throw out of a kayak standing up. So there you go, super spreader, 5-foot 1/4-inch mesh is what I use. All right, the next small item, you guys, is, and this is, how do you pronounce this? Vamo. These are my Vamo kayak straps, okay? And I want you to notice something about this. These are the straps that I strap the kayak down through the inside of my car. These straps have a lock on them that cover the buckle here. But these straps also on the inside, and let's see, you can see here, they have strands of aircraft aluminum, metal, steel going through them. So these straps, you guys, they can't be cut with a pocket knife or any type of scissors or tin snips. The cloth on the outside just bends over and they can't cut through those wires. So it's just one extra step to keep an honest person honest that's thinking about stealing a kayak somewhere. So I have these straps that lock up, and I'm loving these straps. And one of the, I don't know, I just love those straps. Enough said about that, okay? All right, a next small item, but it's actually a large item that I bought, you guys, and this comes from Vibe. This is a Vibe kayak anchor pole, right? You know, you can see it's got the point on the end and it's got the rope around it. So you can stick this thing in the ground and then clamp it onto your kayak. Now, I bought this because it breaks down into three pieces. Right here, you can unscrew it in the middle. But here's the problem. The problem with this is I actually left all three sections of this put together. It's like 8 feet long, and they actually seized together. I couldn't get them undone. I didn't put any never seize them on there, or Vaseline or anything like that. So this one up here, I absolutely cannot get that one to come apart. I've actually put pipe wrenches on it, and I was afraid that I was going to break the connection. Yeah, trying to get it loose. So I suppose I could heat that up with a torch and probably get it to come undone. But yeah, this is a necessity depending on where you're going to be fishing. Now, I have the autopilot anchoring system, so I'm not using this anchor pole really anymore. But you know, the autopilot 120 has the spot on the back for the anchor pole, the automatic anchor pole that people use for dropping down. Anyway, I'm not familiar with that anchor pole. I've never had one, but that's an optional thing that you're going to want to get depending on your kayak when you're fishing in shallow water. Okay, yeah, I use that sometimes when I'm doing filming and stuff. Even with the autopilot 120, I would take that anchor pole out there if I was doing filming, like on a sandbar, so I could anchor my kayak down on the sandbar so it wouldn't go anywhere, right, while I'm doing filming or playing around or whatever. So let me show you my other anchoring system that I have. And even though I have the autopilot 120, this anchoring system, I would still use this anchoring system periodically, and I'll tell you why. All right, hold on, let me grab that. I'm sitting in my car, I'm reviewing this video. I never told you why I would use the quick release anchor system with the autopilot 120. And the reason is because the autopilot 120 always anchors facing into the wind or into the current, right? Well, sometimes there's going to be situations where you want the seat of your kayak facing in the opposite direction of where the autopilot 120 would anchor you automatically. So in those cases, I would use the quick release anchor system. All right, let me show you the quick release anchor system now. Okay, guys, so I put together a video on this. This is a quick release anchoring system. You don't buy this whole package together. This is something that you buy in individual pieces and you put it together yourself. I made a video on the quick release anchoring system. I'll put a link here to this video so you guys can actually see how it all goes together. But I want to talk about this kayak anchor and a couple of these other things here so you know how to put it together. All right, hold on a second. Okie dokie. All right, so for my kayak, I had to have this little strap to make this quick anchoring system work. And so this little strap, I'll put a link down there. And anyway, you just got to go watch the video on the quick release anchor system. But if you're going to get an anchor for your kayak, I do not recommend those grapple anchors, okay? The ones that have the thing here, and then they collapse down, and then you open them up, and then you pull the little sleeve. I tried one of those things. I don't know what the weight was on it, maybe 8 or 10 pounds. That thing just would not hold my kayak. So Jeff, a subscriber, actually sent me this anchor, and this thing right here, you guys, this locks up just great. Everywhere that I've used this anchor in heavy current, it locks down, and it just, yeah, it gets a super good grab on there. The other thing that you're going to want to get with your anchor is get a stainless steel chain, okay? I actually purchased this stainless steel chain, and it has nice connectors on it, okay? So yeah, but anyway, head over and check out the video after you watch this video on my quick release anchoring system. Now, the reason I put this together, you got to have some type of flight. Got to have some type of float on that too. But the reason I put that anchoring system together is because I didn't want to drill holes in my kayak putting the anchor trolley on there and going through all that and having that anchor trolley on my kayak all the time, because I don't use an anchor very often. I mean, even in my Predator PDL, the pedal drive kayak, I wasn't using the anchor very often, so I didn't want to have to contend with that pulley system being on there all the time, getting my hooks hooked in it, or getting it hung up on my kayak straps or whatever. So I chose to go with the quick release anchoring system. A lot of different decisions you have to make along the way. Somebody asked me the other day about my paddle, what size it is. I think this is like a 7.5 or an 8 foot long paddle, and I think the longer paddles are going to be better, because when you're paddling, the shorter paddles, you get wet, right? The longer the paddle is, the less water that's going to drip on you. At least I don't know that much about how to select a paddle, all right, but I love my Magic Angler paddle, and I think this one's about 7 or 7.5 feet long. Okay, the next small item, but yet it is a large item. No, here's another small item you got to have. Some type of rubber boots, okay? I use these in muddy areas or even sandy areas during the winter time when I don't want to get my feet wet. During the summertime, I don't worry about it, right? But yeah, during the winter time, I don't want to get my feet and my jeans and my clothes wet. So I've got some low boots here that I use. They help me in the mud, help me in the sand. Some people wear waders during the winter time when they're launching their kayaks. And I've seen guys even leave their waders on when they're in their kayak. I think that's a little risky myself. I always take my boots off and I put my tennis shoes back on. It'd be kind of hard to swim in waders or swim in boots if something catastrophic happened, right? Okay. About filming, right? So I use this is a Rail Blazer, and this thing is awesome. When I first started using it, I didn't have my camera attached to something, and this little thing right here, it comes off pretty easy if you don't have your camera attached. And sad to say, I went to take my camera and put it underwater to get underwater footage, and the end came off and I lost a $300 GoPro. But I've learned from my mistakes to now I have my thing leashed on there. But Rail Blazer, this is the mount that I'm talking so fast. Breathe, JC. This is the boom that I use, and it comes with an extra little star port. There's a couple different ways, but you can see it's got an end on it, the star port. It fits in the star port, and that thing swivels around, and it has a lot of different adjustments. I love my Rail Blazer boom for filming. I also use an action hat, which I don't have with me. You can buy those on Amazon. They're pretty expensive, but they're floating hats. I've never had my hat fall off in the water where it had to float, but if my hat ever did fall off and had the GoPro on it, it's nice to know that it would be floating and I could recover it, right? So yeah, the action hat, definitely a necessity for kayak fishing. It's hard you can't film in a kayak using a harness here, okay? I mean, because you're basically just going to get the reel and the rod in your hands most of the time. So I think it's really important to have that, unless you're standing up and you use the harness here in your kayak, you need to have that hat mount for your camera, okay? All right, let's work our way down to some other items here. Okie dokie. Now you guys, we've got the Engel 19 quart cooler. If you've been watching my channel for a while, I can fit a bunch of fish in here. Now, I'm not talking like big red fish and snook, okay? The season around here has been closed, but I have loaded this thing up with 22-inch long drum and sheep's head and mangrove snapper. I mean, go out there and catch a limit of mangrove snapper and sea bass, catch a limit of sheep's head, and just fill this thing up with those fish, and even have ice in the cooler. I mean, it doesn't look like it's that big, right? Okay, so the great thing about this cooler, you guys, is it completely seals up, right? It's completely airtight. It's got the nice rubber seal all the way around it, and it's got the latches. So once you latch it down, this thing is nice and airtight. But you've got the rod holders on here. Now, the other day I made a video of my Old Town Sportsman Autopilot 120 when I was in super shallow water, and I took this cooler, I moved it all the way to the back of the kayak, and it was the perfect height for me to sit on to raise the front of the kayak so that electric motor would go through shallower water. I have nothing at all bad to say about this cooler. The great thing about it too is that I live in an apartment complex. It's easy to like spray that thing down with bleach, stick it in the bathtub, rinse it down with the shower head from the bathtub, or I have a high faucet on my kitchen sink. I don't have a deep, well, a pretty deep kitchen sink, but I'm actually able to put this inside of my kitchen sink as well, fill it up with water, wash it out or whatever. So I love my Engel cooler, and a big thank you to Jeff. Jeff hooked me up with a lot of the kayak fishing stuff that I have, you guys, that you've seen here. And I know I told him thanks a long time ago, but yeah, he really hooked me up. He's a kayak fisherman. He knew some of the things that were going to make kayak fishing a lot easier on me. So yeah, the rod holders are great. I mean, even though the Old Town kayaks have the 4 different rod holders, you really only got 2, and they're kind of angled back in the back. You've got the 2 in the front, but those are going to get in the way when you're fishing. So to have those extra rod holders, that is a huge plus. And yeah, definitely be a link in the description area to that right there. Okay, I am burning through these things fast. All right, guys. So the other thing you notice in my videos, I don't use a crate, a milk crate. The reason why I don't use a milk crate is because I have a lot of different things that I bring, and I have a big bag, right? It's just a big flipping bag that I fill stuff up with. I mean, for a while there, I was using my dry bag. Works really well for putting stuff in, for carrying it back and forth and just setting up the kayak, right? But then I found this really big, it's a backpack, but I use it as a tackle bag, and I found it at Goodwill. I paid like $4 for this thing, but it has all different types of compartments where I can keep my GoPro batteries and all of my fishing line. And whenever I bring my battery for my fish finder, or I bring my fish finder, or I bring my towel, I can load all of those things up in my backpack bag at the house, and I put this thing on my back and carry it down to the car because I live on the 2nd floor, right? Then when I get to the kayak launch, I just carry the bag down there and I unload everything out of the bag that I need, put it in the kayak. Sometimes I just take the bag and I put it back in the car, and sometimes I actually just leave it in the kayak. But this way, I have this bag, and in this bag, it always has everything, pretty much everything that I'm going to use when I'm out there kayak fishing. All these little accessory things I keep in that bag. So because the Old Town Sportsman Autopilot 120, or even the Predator PDL or the Topwater 120, they don't have like the big storage trays in them that some kayaks have, where you can leave a lot of these things in there. So I substitute that, and I have a kayak bag, or just a tackle bag, that I keep all this stuff in 99% of the time. And yeah, and then I switch things out depending on what type of fishing that I'm going to do. Man, guys, I like blew through that stuff talking like 100 miles an hour, and I haven't even had an energy drink to drink. I was actually drinking a Diet Coke here somewhere, but I probably knocked the darn thing off. So I want to talk about kayak carts now. I've had 3 kayak carts, you guys. I started out, I purchased a Suspends kayak cart that went through the scupper holes. Now here's the thing, and I just read it the other day, Old Town does not recommend through the scupper hole kayak carts because they will damage the scupper holes. I used one for a while. It worked out okay, but I'm glad that I don't use that anymore. Then Jeff, I mentioned to you, Jeff, he sent me a Sea-Tug kayak cart. Now that kayak cart worked out well with the Predator PDL in it, and I still have that kayak cart, and it would still work with the Predator PDL. The problem with the Sea-Tug kayak cart for the larger kayak, like the Old Town Sportsman 106 powered by Minn Kota and the Autopilot 120 or 136, those kayaks are wide, and the way they have that W bottom, that Sea-Tug cart just does not work efficiently underneath those kayaks. It's hard to get that cart positioned, and you have to position it way in the back of the kayak, so you're not able to get the kayak, the weight of the kayak balanced. So what happens is when you're loading all your gear in there and you got that cart all the way in the back, you're basically carrying the weight of all of your gear because it's not balanced, right? So yeah, those 2 kayak carts, I just don't use them with the larger kayaks. Okay, actually the Suspends cart, I don't even think they make that anymore, which I'm glad, because it had some issues. It had parts that started rusting, and yeah, I still have the cart tucked away in storage. But if you've been seeing my recent videos, you guys, I am now using the the Wilderness Systems kayak cart right here. This thing is awesome. Yep. It's an expensive kayak cart, but putting the kayak on and off of that and strapping it on so the cart doesn't come off, it is so super easy. And the thing is, it'll actually break down too. Now, it doesn't break down to as small of pieces as the Sea-Tug, but 99% of the time my car is not very far away from where I'm launching, so I wheel the kayak down to where I'm launching, right, and then I just take the cart back and I put it in my vehicle. Only one time with this Sea-Tug have I ever just actually put it in the back of my kayak, and I don't even think I made a video that time. Not the Sea-Tug, but the Wilderness Systems. Only one time with the Wilderness Systems cart did I actually put it in the kayak and take it with me. So, all right, let me take a look here and make sure that I have covered everything that I want to say. All right, pros and cons about different things. I think I shared some different pros and cons with you about some of this stuff. The majority of things here, you guys, have worked out well. One of the things that I have noticed about the Maractive floating knife, and some of this is my problem, is that it's advertised that it has a stainless steel blade, but as I had mentioned recently in some videos, that stainless steel comes in different grades, right? And the word stainless means that the steel stains less. It doesn't mean that it's not going to stain. So I don't think I have ever rinsed this knife off in fresh water. It always stays in my kayak bag, and I use it every time that I go kayak fishing, and I've had it for about 3 months. So I'm going to show you a not so good thing about this knife, and it's only because I haven't rinsed it, but the stainless steel is really starting to stain very bad. Now, I just sharpened this knife again. It's got a razor edge on it, and anyway, that's just one of the cons about the Maractive floating fillet knife. But you know, it's an awesome knife. I still love this knife. You know what? Subscribe, click that notification, because I upload videos all the time. Quality content, you guys. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that all of these different things that I have showed you help you make decisions on different things that you're going to need for your kayak. So click those links in the description area and head over there and buy some of these things. All right, get out there and go fishing, man. Life is fun. Live it. See ya.